It was January 6, 2011. On the frozen campus of MIT, a thin young man in a bicycle helmet was tackled to the ground. In his hands was a single piece of hardware that contained a secret the authorities couldn't begin to comprehend. Inside, not state secrets, not financial data, but 4.8 million academic journal articles. The entire modern archive of human research stuffed into a metal box. A week later, federal prosecutors filed 13 felony indictments against him. The maximum sentence, over 3 decades behind bars. All for the act of downloading. What they didn't know was that they hadn't just arrested a college hacker. They had handcuffed one of the invisible builders of the digital world itself, a prodigy named Swartz. This is the story of how the system declared war on a mind it could not understand. He wrote his first lines of world-changing code at 14 years old. It was the year 2000. His creation, a core piece of the technology that would let news and blogs stream to you automatically, a standard that still feeds the internet today. While his classmates memorized formulas, he was architecting the pipes through which global information would flow. By 19, his startup was absorbed by a little website called Reddit, making him a millionaire. The Silicon Valley dream was his for the taking, but he walked away. The corporate game felt like a betrayal of a deeper principle burning inside him. Information belongs to humanity. In 2008, at age 21, he sat at a public library terminal and accessed PACER, a federal database of public court documents, records that belonged to the people. Yet the government charged 8 cents per page, raking in over $100 million a year from its own citizens. So Aaron wrote a simple program. In 6 weeks, he liberated 19 million pages. The FBI opened a file. They investigated hard, and then they reached a frustrating conclusion. He had broken exactly 0 laws. Every document was legally accessible from that library terminal. The case was closed, but a line had been drawn in the sand. That same year, he published a fiery digital manifesto. It argued a simple, dangerous idea. When publicly funded knowledge is locked away, taking it back isn't theft, it's a moral duty. By 2010, he had a growing army of supporters, students, librarians, activists, and he set his sights on a bigger target, JSTOR, a nonprofit that sat on a mountain of research, charging universities staggering fees and students per paper. The public, he argued, was paying twice, so he decided to even the score. In September 2010, he connected to MIT's Open Campus Network. Using a Harvard researcher's legitimate access, he began a digital heist. A script downloaded papers at a relentless pace. When JSTOR blocked him, he just moved to a new connection. Then he went analog. He found an unlocked closet in a basement at MIT. Inside, he placed a tiny headless laptop and an external drive, a silent ghost machine, doing its work in the dark. By the end of the year, it had gathered 4.8 million papers, centuries of human insight waiting in one hidden corner. On January 4th, 2011, MIT discovered the device. They didn't unplug it. Instead, they set a trap, installing a hidden camera. 2 days later, at 8:42 a.m., the camera caught a figure in a white helmet. He swapped the hard drive in 73 seconds. The moment he stepped outside, he was surrounded, handcuffed, read his rights by a Secret Service agent. He looked less like a master criminal and more like a bewildered student. JSTOR swiftly said they wouldn't press charges. They got their data back. No harm, no leak, no foul. It should have been over. But the federal government was just getting started. Prosecutors reached for a dusty, vague law from 1986, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, written before the web existed. They weaponized a simple breach of terms of service and inflated it into a federal conspiracy. The charges ballooned from 4 felonies to 13. The threatened sentence crept toward 50 years in prison for files he never sold, never published, never used for personal gain. The tech world roared in protest, but the prosecution was unmovable. They offered a deal: plead guilty to felonies, serve months in jail, and wear the criminal label forever. He refused, not out of pride, but out of principle. If his actions were a serious crime, then what we do online every day could be criminalized. While battling his own case, he turned his energy to a new threat. In late 2011, Congress introduced SOPA and PIPA, bills that could censor the internet with the stroke of a pen. Aaron helped mobilize the web's greatest protest. On January 18, 2012, the internet went dark. Wikipedia, Google, Reddit, over 100,000 sites joined a digital strike. Congress was flooded. The bills were dead within a day. He won the war for the internet, but was losing the war for himself. The pressure was crushing. His trial was set for April 2013. The prosecutors wouldn't drop the felonies. The legal fees were monstrous. The shadow of decades in prison was constant. On January 11, 2013, Aaron Swartz was found dead in his apartment in Brooklyn. He was 26 years old. In the wake of the tragedy, the charges were dismissed, but the law that killed him remains on the books, still used today. Aaron Swartz never sought wealth from his mission. He never traded a single file for profit. He operated from one unshakable belief: if the public funds the pursuit of truth, the public must be able to read it. He was prosecuted not for stealing property, but for challenging power. His story leaves us with a chilling lesson. The establishment isn't frightened of hackers. It's terrified of philosophers with code. And sometimes the most radical idea of all is that knowledge should be free, and that idea can cost everything. If this story of conviction and consequence resonated with you, help these ideas travel further. Liking this video fuels the channel. For more deep dives into the stories that shape our digital world, remember to follow Midnight Zephyr.